SML podcast, playing the field, Field Jordan 007. Today I'm joined back with QB Stud. What's going on, buddy?
Hey man, not too much. How you doing?
We're doing pretty well. We're going to talk about the obvious in the room, the playoffs. We've advanced. Prime's got it wild card week. The SML playoffs. Let's talk about it. AFC, who do we got in the playoffs right now?
AFC, we have the Ravens up against the Jaguars, and we have the Broncos up against the Steelers.
I'm taking the Ravens over the Jaguars, and I'm going to go with the Steelers over the Broncos.
I believe that these are rematches on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Steelers beat the Broncos in Week 16. You want to guess what the score was?
The Steelers beat the Broncos?
Mm-hmm.
28-14.
40-0.
Wow.
And then this was when the Steelers were starting to get real hot, and the Broncos kind of petered off toward the end.
Yeah.
And then I know that the Ravens beat the Jaguars, but that was at the end of when the Jaguars were kind of getting out of their funk, if I recall correctly. It was in Week 14. It was a 29-17 victory for the Ravens. It was pretty convincing, if memory serves me right. So I think that both of those are pretty good calls. It's probably about what I would guess too. Surprising to me that the AFC North could potentially have two people move on from Wild Card Weekend when they were looking a little weak toward the midpoint of the season.
Yeah. I just got to take Meats over the Jags. I think Meats has kind of transcended himself this cycle as one of the top 5 players. Dump's a really good player. Dump is not the same player this season that he was last season. I was able to play him pretty tough that Week 16 game, and I beat him the time before that. And I haven't beaten Meats yet, so just going off that logic alone, I would have to take the Ravens. But he's got Lamar Jackson. He's got Hollywood. I don't think the Jags have enough guys on defense that can keep up speed-wise with Hollywood, and obviously the running game from the Ravens, not even counting Lamar Jackson, but Golden alone is an insane matchup. Go ahead and give me the NFC guys.
So for the NFC, I believe we have the Seahawks up against the Packers and the Falcons up against the Cowboys.
I'm going to go Seahawks over the Packers. No disrespect to Lawyer Killer, great player. But I feel like Future has a better team, and that Future has been more consistent this cycle. And then you said Cowboys and who?
Falcons.
No disrespect to NYT. I love me some NYT, but Graham's has been at a different level, and the Cowboys are a much better team than the Falcons. I'm taking the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have Grams actually as my favorite to come out of the NFC, so I'm going to have to call him here. And then what's funny is what I've heard reputation-wise from cycles past is Lawyer, once he gets to the playoffs, he's clutch. And then the reputation for Future has been that he's a folding chair in the playoffs. Yeah, I called him a regular season warrior because I think he's the winningest owner in the SML, or best winning percentage maybe, or something like that, if you only count regular season. And he's only got a handful of playoff wins. He does a great job. Even in those playoff games, he can still play well. He just doesn't come out with a win. So it'll be interesting to see if, it's a on-paper matchup, and you say, well, Future's done great, and Lawyer's gotten back just for the first time in a while, or does that reputation of being a clutch player versus a folding chair come into play?
So then your 1 and 2 seeds in the AFC be the Colts and Patriots and the Redskins and Bears?
Yes, sir.
All right, just even though you're one of those teams of discussion, kind of give me your playoff breakdown, just kind of brief, how you see things panning out as they are now. And if you do think you're going to make it to the Super Bowl, don't discredit yourself. Go ahead and say that. Let's see what you got to say.
So one thing that I've always dubbed myself as is being someone that wins games that they should win and then lose more toss-ups than they should. So between having to face probably Meats or even Dump and then Prime likely, I'm gonna lose at some point. That's fine with me. I think Prime is playing with something to prove right now.
Yep.
I think he's going to be dialed in. I expect him to come out of the AFC. And then I expect likely, especially if the matchups this round go like we called it, we'd have Graham's up against Sunday, and Graham's matches up best against Sunday. I have him taking him out, upsetting him, and then being able to finally overcome Oshie and going into the Super Bowl himself.
I don't think Graham's has what it takes to get there yet. I think Oshie's a better player. I think Sunday's a better player. I played Sunday in the Primer playoffs last season and got spanked. Sunday won the Super Bowl. I'm not going to count out the current champion until he's no longer the champion. I'm going to say we've got Colts, Redskins, Super Bowl. The Colts, I've mentioned before, I think it was our last podcast. He seems like he's, like, last season when he was losing all those games, he was catering his gameplay like around to shut certain things down. He was doing things he'd never did in his career. He's doing linebacker shifts. He's calling different plays on defense, and his defense suffered. I don't know if he got back to basics or not, but his defense is playing at an elite level this season. His numbers on offense are not that great, but he's 15-1, so I can't discredit that. The Redskins are also 15-1. Oshie, let's just talk about some stats real quick. I know no one likes to hear this fucking number. I don't like to hear it. Roquan Smith, 30 interceptions. The nearest competitor is Malik Hooker with 12. Oshie is the boss. Oshie gets the Madden Award for best defensive user in the league. But Oshie's offense is not that good. Oshie likes to run the ball outside. Oshie is a relatively weak passer. I feel like Sunday Squad's a much more well-rounded player in terms of offense. Like you said, you mentioned the last podcast, he does things that are somewhat simple, but what he does is effective. So I think it'll be a Colts-Redskins Super Bowl.
And Colts Redskins is kind of the unsexy pick, but at the same time, it's what everyone wants to see. That's a really rare combination,
Yeah.
but it would definitely be an exciting game. I think that would probably be the best matchup, even if I think Grams will get there instead.
Right. I'm going to do a quick merch plug. As you all can see on the camera, I got my Sim Madden League t-shirt. You can get those made to order Zazzle, ZAZZLE.com/store/Sim Madden League. Check it out, $22.95. I got a hoodie up there. I got my thermos, my iced mug, which I use. I got a couple different designs. I got the camo logo. Check it out. Let me know if you guys want to see some different products on there. It's a great shirt. I've worn it. I've washed it. The logo is holding up pretty well. But anyway, we're going back to the show, and we're going to talk about the primer. I'm a part of the primer on the Bucks. They're not really mentioned that much in these podcasts. Prime's not in the primer. ZZ's not in the primer. Coach Paulie's not in the primer. I'm in the primer. I don't really know the guys that well in there. I don't really pay attention to the stats and scores that much. I'm not in the chat that much. But I'm going to go ahead and touch base on it because I feel like they do deserve a shout out. Currently, the playoff picture as it stands today, the Ravens are the number 1 seed and the primer at 11-1, Jaguars 9-2, Dolphins 8-3, Chiefs 8-4, Titans 8-3, Broncos 7-4. The NFC, the Redskins, go figure, are 10-1, the Seahawks 9-2, the Bears 10-2, the Panthers 7-5, the Cowboys 8-4, the Cardinals 7-4, and I'm on the bubble at 7-4. So, still not good enough to get the playoffs in there either. But the numbers
Yeah.
are, yeah.
I just want to say real quick,
Right.
that's my Tampa Bay Buccaneers
know.
team that you're taking over too.
You got a shitty quarterback with Sam Darnold, and that's really what holds me back.
The reason why that roster is as good as it is because that shitty quarterback has a beautiful contract.
It's got his numbers are not bad, but I like a nice mobile quarterback, and he misses a lot of throws. But the numbers are not really well. I guess the running game's kind of skewed. We got Demarius Riddle, a running back with 1,900 yards, and we're roughly 12 games into the season.
Yeah, but anyone at home could guess what ability he has.
What, joystick?
Yep.
Yeah. He's the Dolphins running back. How do you see what ability they have? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
First one, free, spin cycle, and human joystick.
Also, I just remembered him, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Wow. I guess we'll move on past that. That was kind of a shock. I didn't expect to see that many rushing yards, but I guess when they did the old adage, hashtag why pass? Diamond Cooks, 1,000 yards is your leading receiver. See, I don't even know any of these players out here. Is that a Dolphins player? Nope. It's the Chiefs.
I think it's a Chiefs player. Yeah.
Big old dude, 6'6". Nice rookie wide receiver with 1,000 yards, 62 overall. That's kind of impressive. But he's got Patty Mahomes is throwing to him.
That's okay. Yeah.
Something that's not so impressive, and this may shock you. I know you're a big fan of Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo, 33 interceptions thrown so far. That's not good. That is not good, Jim.
But if you're trying to tie that to what happened in the SML when he was starting there, that's about right there too. So
yeah, that's true. Interceptions not as skewed. The league leader is a 3-way tie at 9. Adoree Jackson, Kendall Fuller, Zedrick Woods. Sacks are kind of high, much like they are in the SML. 19 with Garrett, Donald 17, Sweat at 16, Mac 16, and Miller at 15. So numbers that way are always kind of skewed, and we could carry on and on and on about the defensive pass rush, how they couldn't fix protections, and really what they should do, honestly. I will touch on this because I can't help myself. Instead of making a bunch of sacks, maybe they should make the incompletion number go up. Like when it's quarterback hurry, maybe it should just be a higher incompletion rate. Would you
The
agree with that?
problem
Because there's a lot of quarterbacks with 70+% completion, and that's not really that realistic. Normally, there's maybe two guys this season that throw over 70.
The problem is the way they have throws coded is
Yeah,
it's either a quote unquote accurate pass or an inaccurate pass. And the difference between those two is an accurate goes roughly to the receiver and inaccurate goes somewhere else. When in reality, an inaccurate pass is thrown like maybe behind the receiver and leads or too far in front and it leads it into being disrupted that way. What they decided to do to lead toward disrupted passes is if you get sneezed on, then it's incomplete. So naturally, people basically run their entire offensive scheme around not having their receiver get sneezed on because otherwise it's going to be a
right,
drop, right? So you see these high completion percentage throws because that's what it's geared toward. Not necessarily short, just, get these guys open type situations. Whereas if they would figure out how to work the tracking of the ball to where a
mm-hmm.
quote unquote inaccurate throw is not randomly thrown to a safety. Instead, it's just thrown where it's, maybe barely out of reach or led them into
Right,
coverage. And that is what causes it.
yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. Real quick before we move on past the primer, the number one team in the AFC, I just realized, is Graham. So shout out to Grams for dominating both the leagues here. He's doing a really good job. He's also an admin member there, so shout out to Grams. I think Lawyer Killer, who has his Falcons in the primer, is also an admin member in the primer. So shout out to him for putting in that extra work. And I want to shout out Thick Boy Mike, the Bears owner. Da Bears. Mike, you're doing a great job of being a professional commissioner. We appreciate your support, your loyalty, and your hard work. It's much appreciated. Thank you. But now we're moving back to the main league, the SML. Actually, we can't really move on because something that happened today in the primer is something you and I kind of had talked in the pre-show, was group chat etiquette. I don't really know how else to discuss it. I'm going to go ahead and kind of let you take over. Basically, what we want to talk about is as league members, it's your responsibility to report unsim gameplay and DM to the admin. That way it can be addressed, because if we have a bunch of shitball guys and we don't know about it, these guys are just going to keep flying underneath the radar. Things are not going to get fixed, and good members are going to quit because they feel like it's a shitball league. So just go ahead and DM an admin and we'll get it taken care of. But I'm going to go ahead and let you take over, QB.
Yeah, so the reason why we need to have that happen in DMs is I understand that a lot of people grow up to where going, in secret or behind people's back is kind of a bitch move, and so you don't
Yeah,
want to come off that way.
I am a
Completely
bitch.
understandable. But the problem is, even if you're coming in completely honest and all you want is for the best of the league, it's going to come off as if you're dragging stuff through the mud if you go into social chat. So, and at that point, it all devolves and it all becomes trash. Even if you're completely on the right,
Right.
you're going to be put in a bad light. So, what you do is you report it to the appropriate admin. Don't go around DMing everyone, just the appropriate admin, bring it up. Ideally, make sure that you have video evidence. Maybe you
Right.
have a clip or at least a timestamp or a time in the game that you can reference, and it make their job easier so that they can respond quicker. And then you get that satisfaction to make sure that something's happening in the league that you're in becomes better because of it.
Yeah, I don't really think that's too much of an issue in the SML. It's basically just a primer issue. There's not a lot of established players there outside of the admin guys and myself. Most of these guys don't really have tenure. They don't know how we've run things for the last 3 or 4 years, however long we've been doing this now. So, like I said, I think we just need to get that culture more ingrained in the primer. The SML, pretty much, for the most part, self babysits. We don't really have. And a couple guys have been appointed, I think, yesterday for chat moderator. We don't have those issues as much as we did in the past. So there's no shame in that. Before we move on, there's no shame in reporting an issue because that's what makes the league better, as QB's already stated. So just go ahead and DM an admin, DM me. I'm actually the co-commissioner. I just don't really do anything unless I have to. So that's it. That's all I want to talk about. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about kind of an astounding number. I don't even know how this happened exactly. Panthers, SML. And you know where I'm going with this?
Potentially. Carry
D-
on though.
DJ Moore, 5 catches, 323 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Mm.
What do you think about
So
that?
I had that game on the whole
Oh, you
time.
did?
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I looked up a lot. I noticed and I
Against
hope I don't
Oakland.
come off as calling anyone out. I noticed a lot of cover zero blitzes on one side of the field.
Yeah.
And Mike is a guy to where if you get DJ Moore one on one, especially downfield in the seam, he's going to go for it because honestly, to me, if you give it to him, that's pretty much sim because that's exactly what you would do in real life. So you can't punish someone for capitalizing on a defense that he's being shown consistently.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, I've never seen a stat line like that before. I was just kind of shocked about it. Now I'm looking at it. You see, it was a 45-38 Raider victory over the Panthers. Not a. It just was. I don't know. The game itself is playing different, too. I played PJ, the Lions owner, yesterday, and I'm hoping it was just that one game, but after this latest game update, that like my players, I did not feel like I had total sharp control over, and I know that happens from time to time based on like the servers or Trump sneezed the wrong way or something, and that way I don't have total control of my players anymore. But the game just did not feel that sharp yesterday. I was not that impressed. I saw the same thing happen on the Lions side of the field where guys were like delayed and everything else. I'm hoping that they didn't wreck the game, but I don't know. Now you see the stat line: Greer with 237 yards rushing, 9 completions, 4 touchdowns from Raider. I don't know. There's a lot of things here that I think we need to keep an eye on moving forward. What did EA do with this latest title update? Do you know? Did they put out a log on that?
I meant to look because I actually brought up something kind of similar. I had only played one game on that update,
Yeah.
but I noticed that it felt like all of the animations were decided way earlier than normal.
Yeah.
That happened on occasion throughout the cycle where it would just decide it really quick. But you would have some where you get a guy perfectly into position, but he wouldn't even go for the ball because it was already decided that it was going to be a catch. So I don't know if that's intentional. I meant to look up the patch notes. Unfortunately, I did not. But yeah, I definitely need to look up to that also because if that's something that's happening, you kind of have to almost play differently because it was crazy.
All that this article is mentioning: refresh some key art assets in game, general performance and stability improvements, as they always talk about, fix game
Mm-hmm.
crashing issues, other under the hood fixes. We'll see if we can pull up a full loadout on it. I'm just gonna do a quick Google here. Madden 20 1.30. You got anything you want to talk about in the meantime?
Um, Playoff time's always exciting.
Right.
Get ready next week. If I can plug crunching the numbers, should be next Wednesday. We are going to have our end of season award ceremony, end of season award show, probably a better way to put it. We'll be giving away awards kind of similar to how we did during the midseason, but we'll have a little bit more. If you're wanting to see exactly what you may have gotten an award for, definitely want you to tune in. If you guys have any ideas for awards that you want to see, please make sure you hit up myself or Meets, and we'll make sure to see if we can make that happen.
Yeah, we appreciate crunching the numbers. You guys have been pretty consistent on your uploads. Always interesting to see a different dynamic from the podcast standpoint where you guys take the math and science of it and kind of give a different perspective on why teams are struggling or why teams are doing well or should do well or should struggle. So it's always interesting to see that. I'm not really seeing anything on updates, so we'll just go ahead and move past that. We've already mentioned our Super Bowl predictions. We've talked about the primer. We've talked about the merch store. We've talked about it a lot today. I'm not going to keep you guys on here too much longer. We're nearing on 20 minutes long. We're still on lockdown with COVID, so stay safe with all that's going on. We're hoping for the best with Madden 21, although my hopes are not, my expectations are pretty low as of now. But, one last topic I wanted to touch base on. Moving forward, and I brought this up probably a year before we did it initially, where I talked about doing a spin-off league, and then we did the primer. I want to talk about a cross-platform, and not necessarily like in seriousness, but in principle, what are your thoughts if we expanded the SML to Xbox? Do you think that there would be any types of advantages, such as getting some cross flow from that audience where some guys have a PS4 too and like, oh hey, fuck it, I'll play in the SML, I play there on Xbox? Or do you see it more of a disadvantage where we're not going to have dedicated guys to be able to grow that? Or what are your thoughts on it?
So actually, this just popped into my head. It all depends on execution and how you do it.
Yeah.
So, not that I'm here to talk about religion or anything, but I'm pretty involved with my church. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, what we do whenever we want to branch out into a new community is you have about 75 to 200, depending on the population of the area. Basically, they're like plants where you begin a congregation from the people that you know fit your culture.
Right.
And then you expect that to grow and to attract other people. And then you establish that culture, and then they can move on. If you're able to do something like that with Xbox, where we have enough guys in the SML currently that know the culture and can push the culture forward, then that's absolutely something that could work well. And you will have guys that have multiple consoles, multiple
Yeah.
systems that would be willing to join.
Yeah. Because I'm one of those
The
guys that has an Xbox.
Yeah. The question would be, though, do we have enough guys that are dedicated enough to maintain their presence on the PS4 SML and also be able to properly establish the appropriate culture on Xbox?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many. You need. No, I'm stuttering. You need at least 8 to 10 guys from the SML to go establish that culture and stay there for a while, not just hop ship as soon as they get bored or whatever. You have to understand when you launch a new league, there's a lot of missteps that happen. It takes a while. As soon as we launched, guys did not want to play preseason games. I argued tooth and nail with guys. We removed them instantly. There's guys that did not. Originally, I think we may have initially been a no switch. I don't remember. There was something else in the rules the guys didn't like, and I was just kicking guys left and right. And we had a lot of guys that stayed with us. Terrible Two Step, Bomadi, and Bluntburner were guys like right from the get go that were with us through it all and stick with us. Myself and Prime through all kinds of crazy things that were said from nut jobs that came in the league here and there that have worked their ways out since. But it'd be interesting to see if it could be done. I like doing it just because it seems like now that I'm playing in 2 leagues that my gameplay's better because I'm playing more games, which I think the last time Prime was on the podcast, he asked how I could get back. It's like, well, I just got to play the game more. So to me, I'd almost like to do it just so I keep myself sharp by playing more games. But maybe, I don't know, I like the aspect of dabbling out there as well, just in case, like you said, you can bring a few guys in, bring them in the primer, and just kind of keep things going and just grow the brand. We can go from 32 guys to 64 guys to 96 guys and just have a bigger community than anybody and reap the benefits of that. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Do you have any closing statements?
Just everybody stay safe and good luck to all the playoff participants.
Good luck to the playoff teams. I'll be watching these games. I hope we have some going on tonight. If not, I'm off this weekend. Back to K9 school on Monday. Hoping for the best. Good luck to everybody. I am anticipating a Colts-Redskins SML Super Bowl. Don't prove me wrong. Watch out for me in the primer. We're still right there on the bubble. I'm hoping not to blow any more games, but I lost my running back and just bad things keep happening. But if you guys enjoy this, check us out, simmanleague.com, dailyleagues.com/SML, and the primers, the SML Pete. But hope you enjoyed the show. Have a good night.